Hello, I'm Rick Schaldhouse, and because things on the internet seem to lose their date references, today is Monday, November 13th, 2023. On Tuesday, September 12th, 2023, so I'm a little late in getting this one produced, we visited what turned out to be multiple sites, and they're going to be covered on this one video. We were at the zoo in Salt Lake City, Hogley Zoo, I think it's pronounced, in Salt Lake City. And across the way, we saw this other facility, asked about it, and we went over and visited. This is the place, Heritage Park, where Brigham Young and the pilgrimage of the Mormons from Illinois and Missouri stopped and said, this is where we're going to build our future city. We went over and visited that. On the way in, we found the National Pony Express Monument, which was kind of cool, kind of small. And there's also at this is the place, Heritage Park, the Pioneer Center. The Pioneer Center is free admission. The Pony Express National Pony Express Monument is free admission as well. This is the place, Heritage Park, was really, really cool. We really enjoyed it, that whole area, and had a lot of fun. And this is going to be the videos to show you. It's not an extremely long video. We're running out of battery power, and we're running out of foot power because we did a lot of walking on it. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching. As we were coming up on This Is the Place, we snapped this photo, the National Pony Express Monument. So there was a parking spot there. We parked the car, we walked back over, we took a look at it, and it was pretty interesting actually, and had a number of plaques which I'm going to let you look at. And they talked about the fact that during the Winter Olympics held in Utah, I believe it was in 2002, they had set up the cabin that you see in this series of shots in Heber, Utah, and the agreement with the National Pony Express Association, I think that was its title, agreed to have a person have the cabin, have the site in Heber, Utah manned throughout the Olympics, and they did. And it was a interesting educational monument to see. We're starting out with a kind of a distance photo. We were driving up the road. I told Joyce to snap this one. This is what the facility starts to look at as it emerges as you come up on the entry road. The building on the right is the Pioneer Center. The building in the center is the museum and the gift shop. Presentation for This Is the Place, which is on the left side of the photo. Admission to the Pioneer Center is free. Admission to This Is the Place Historic Park, I thought the admission fee for that was reasonable. I didn't have any objections, and I'll clue you in, I'm cheap. And we strolled around the Pioneer Center first, and behind the Pioneer Center is this monument, a couple of monuments, talking about accomplishments of the Mormons, the LDS, on their pilgrimage from Illinois and Missouri into Utah. And here's some photos of some of the panels in there talking about their duty to the country as well. This is the entrance, and it is a beautifully maintained park. And as you walk in, you have a map, and the buildings are numbered, and they have explanations on the buildings about what they are. Many of them have individuals, I'm going to refer to them as on station, with the Mormons LDS. There, a number of them were either volunteers or on their missions based on their age. For example, the Smoot Hall here, it talks about the history. This is a replica, and they identify buildings that were reproduced or replicated, and they identify buildings that were moved from their original locations and where they came from. This is the start of the Brigham Young University. The Orson Pratt Observatory, building number 5, was open, and you could walk in and look around. There are plaques on the walls that talk about how mathematically correct the surveys done by Orson Pratt were. When they came in and did the surveys much later, 1855 time frame, they kept his positions correct, stationed as they were, and he was only off by 27 feet on his elevation. Not bad. I'm going to let you look at the cabin first, let you stay there for a while, so to speak. John Gardner built the cabin in Pleasant Grove, Utah, 1864. It was relocated to this area in 1979, and it talks about this 13 by 22 foot cabin, built and expanded as him, his wife, and a second wife generated 10 children, and how they accommodated, how they made through their life. They're very interesting and really informative discussion with the young lady who was on station inside. The Juke Straker home was our next stop, and it was built and in the mid 1860s and then relocated in 1982. This is the place. And this individual, the woman who was on station here, was combing wool, and we had a discussion with her, and she was talking about how it was done, showing us there's a spinning wheel there. Really informative presentations, really enjoyed it, and there were a number of things available for sale in some of these places for very reasonable prices. The Great Salt Lake Social Hall was built someplace else and was used from 1853 to 1921 in reading one of the signs, and was then replicated here. And you have to appreciate the humor. We really enjoyed it. It is open as their snack bar, their cafeteria. The food was really good, and the signage on the walls, which I've carved up into 3 pieces so you can read them, put a smile on our face. It was really beautiful construction. This is another relocated building. John and Sarah Fairbanks built this building in the 1850s. It was relocated to, this is the place, Heritage Park, in 1961. And it was another one of the fully open, well furnished buildings which had an individual, a woman, presenting it. I really enjoyed the conversations we had with these people. They were really informative, very courteous, and learned a lot about what we were seeing. I didn't realize it until I started to put the video together. I do not have a picture of the front of the barbershop, just this as we walked up to it, side shop. Maybe it'll show up later. The barbershop was another one of the manned shops, and a lot of things about how grooming was done back in those days, and the barber's chair, which is something, and the shears, the hand shears that are on the counter here, the ones on the right, are very similar to the pair that my dad used to use. Brought me back to home. The Hooper and Eldridge Bank, built about 1866, replicated 1996, and it was manned, and the individual that was in it was talking to these kids about how gold is assayed and how banks work, which was, we were listening to part of it, and it was really interesting. The bank evolved from being this bank through several other steps and becoming part of Wells Fargo in the year 2000, according to the presentation. And there was a number of the various currencies that were in circulation at numerous times during the development of Utah. B.F. Johnson's Saddlery was a leather working store facility, and they were making stuff. It was manned, and in the photos you'll see this guy sitting at the table. There were The children that we'd seen in the bank were now over here, and he was showing them, and they were working with their own leather to make, I believe it was bookmarks. It was kind of cool. Talked to him about leather working because I love doing leather working. This is a multi-stop section, I guess, and there was where you could get water, and they had this little water amusement park over by the Huntsville hotel train stop. It wasn't really a train, it was a tram, and that's okay. They were having fun with it. It was made like a tram, like a train. And the Huntsman Hotel was across the street, another place to get food, sit down, have something to eat. We had a snack there, and they were talking about, and it's another replicated building. They were talking about the fact that this was run by 3 generations from 1872 to 1938, and now John and Karen Huntsman had it reproduced for the park. It was cool. We stopped at the Deseret News print shop. It's not a misprint. Deseret means honeybee, and I believe it's a native Utah language. And the young lady printed a section, a page for us, and they were up on strings drying out, and we didn't get to buy one. But it was informative. It was cool.
Because I'm the printer. So what we do is we roll this ink onto here so we can get a new coat on there for our next printing, because you'd have to do this in between every single print. So the ink is Noya-based ink, and so that means during the summertime it takes about 8 to 12 hours to dry, but during the winter time, or when it's wet, rainy, humid, just a lot of moisture in the air, it can take up to 3 days. So with the paper, so even though trade paper was a thing in the 1840s, it still wasn't very commonly used in the 50s and 60s. So what they did use were rags. So a pioneer had 2 sets of clothes. They had their Sunday clothes, and then they had their work clothes. When they would get new Sunday clothes, their old Sunday clothes become their new work clothes, and then their old work clothes become rags, which they can use however they needed, or they would donate them to the press in order to make newspapers, which is why newspapers were known as the old rag. So now take this and fold it on down. See if I have any air bubbles. And then have you guys take a step back, so I don't want anyone to get hurt. This here, it's difficult to get started, but once it's going, it's pretty easy, and then we got carefully put it back. Think I made a good first impression?
I think so.
Yeah, because like when you meet somebody.
Because you can't make a second impression.
Yep, you can make a good one. Like you can certainly try, but it's going to end up all weird. All right, here we go. And there we go.
Wow.
Looks like it stuck a little bit to there, but not too bad. So this is pretty not.
It was originally Luther Tuttle and Edward Fox running a mercantile business, and then they sold it off to the Zion's Cooperative Mercantile Institution, and it was taken apart, numbered brick by brick, and then brought to the site and then reassembled. We went in and they had candy from all over the place. Candy I haven't seen in 50 and 60 years. So I bought some. I'm really annoyed too when my shadow gets in the pictures, and the Godby Pitts and Company drugstore, really well prepared, really well furnished, replicated. The young woman was talking about the various mixes of chemicals to accomplish what they needed to do, and it explained that conservation of square footage, that usually the proprietors of businesses either slept in or slept next to their businesses. There were places that I really enjoyed getting into and talking to the guys. The Dinwiddie Cabinet and Chair Shop shown here was a woodworking site, obviously, and a lot of era tools back in the mid to late 1800s, and how they did it. And the big wheel that you see here in the right, which is appears in another picture, is used to power that lathe at very high speed, and it's cool. One of the things that really made me laugh is at the end, sitting on the bench was what's called a meat cutter's glove. It kind of saves your fingers a little bit. Heber East Ward School. It's a replicated building. We'd been in Heber Valley. We rode the railroad, Heber City with Midway, Utah, in the Memorial Park, which was really cool, Memorial Summit. And this was one of their schools, really nicely replicated. What they call a train, it's really a tram. It's trailers pulled by a propulsion unit. Came by, we were tired of walking, we jumped on it, we rode around it. Here's the telegraph office. It wasn't open anyways. A couple of other buildings, and I believe this one to the right served as a church meeting building, and then the mill with the water wheel and some other scenery. There is what I know as a carnival scale railroad here, and this is a family walking away from it. We would later go for a ride on it. We'll show you that. And this is another one of the gift shops, and there's this boat built here, and you can see in the back, that's the Natural History Museum of Utah, I believe, in the back. I believe that's its correct title. And there's a Native American Indian village built here too. At this point in time, our feet are tired. We've done the zoo. We drove from the zoo over to the this is the place, Heritage Park, and we decided to get on the tram and ride the tram around. One of the recommendations we would make if you're going to tour this is to get on the tram first, ride it around, listen to the narrative we had on the tram from two different people was very, very good. And one of the shots in here is a location where it's believed that Brigham Young stopped and said, "This is the place," and the Mormons on their pilgrimage from Illinois and Missouri started to build the community. Another site in here where the children are playing, the statue's children are playing, is the cemetery where they buried children who died. With that carnival scale railroad available to us, I wanted to get back and ride it. I like riding trains, so we went over, and this is our train ride. The train ride is free, and we told our engineer that we absolutely love trains, and he asked if we'd like to go around twice, and I said sure, and he actually took us around 3 times, and this is our engineer too. During our tram ride, you saw the outside of the Manti Fort grist mill, and now we're going to look at the inside, and the water wheel is turning, but it's not turning the millstone. Inside the mill was also this presentation of the Lewis and Clark expedition and some hand tools and stuff that were used in the area in the time frame of the development of Utah. They have a stream set up with gravel and spiked with pyrite, fool's gold, and you can mine, you can pan for it for free. There's no charge. They'll show you how to do it, and I'm trying it here, and I actually find some.
Yeah, it'll be nice to just like sift that boundary. Like I don't know.
Wow.
Really what that boundary up to me? Like of what's floating rules, casual, friendship, often.
I got a lot of pyrite.
You're supposed to be able to like flush that out.
Come on over.
No.
Across the bridge.
No.
I'm just gonna have a crust pan soda that I never drink out.
Look at that.
Use my backpack and stuff or something.
That's a whole bunch of pyrite. Gold. Fake gold. Fool's gold. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Are you recording?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let me get a picture.
This is that area, probably off and to the right from the entrance gate, the far right corner of the, this is the Place Heritage Park, and this boat is sitting out there. It's constructed. You can climb up on it and have some fun. It's there for the kids' entertainment. The railroad track is in the background. The stream to pan for gold is just off to our left, and this is the area of the gift shop, and they tell you that if you want to have a picnic, this is the place to do it. And it's beautiful. We really enjoyed our visit there. As we were moving from this is the Place Heritage Park back to the Pioneer Center to see some other things, this is an example of the architecture there. Absolutely beautiful. We were totally impressed by the entire area. And this is, I'm not sure whether you would call it a memorial, a monument, appreciation, whatever. And it had quite a bit of information in it, and I'm trying to give you, so you could stop and read them if you want, what these plaques are. This was really enjoyable. We were just kind of strolling around, and I'm just going to let you scroll through these things. These plaques explain who did what in many of the early events of the Mormons, Church of Latter-day Saints, migrating into their pilgrimage into Utah, and what Utah did for the country and for the area. Inside the Pioneer Center, which, as I said earlier, admission is to this area is free, is this beautiful layout of this is the place Heritage Park and the surrounding area. A lot of detail went into this, and among other things, a lot of photo work was done in here, where events took place, who took place. Some beautiful murals are up on the wall, and some items out of all replicas, reproductions of materials that were played a role in the Mormons and Utah being Mormons moving to Utah and Utah being developed. So somewhat unexpected, because we saw this from the Salt Lake City Zoo, from the Hogle Zoo. We went over and found out what This Is the Place Heritage Park was. It was extremely interesting. On the way in, we passed the National Pony Express Monument. We went up, we saw the Pioneer Center, we saw This Is the Place Heritage Park buildings, which were really enjoyable. We rode on the train and the tram, which were totally enjoyable, and visited the area outside Pioneer Center and inside Pioneer Center, and we really enjoyed the visit, and we walked our legs off.